Hey guys, Kelly with St. Johns County Parks and Recreation. I hope this presentation finds you all well. Today's presentation is going to be on sounds of nature. This is going to be a little different than some of the presentations you're used to seeing from me. This will require you to think, you to guess. This is all about sounds that we would hear, hopefully right outside our windows, in our backyards. If you haven't spent time outside during this pandemic, I really encourage you to get out. Now is a great time to learn the sounds of nature and start to tune your ear towards all the amazing things that we see outside. I'm hoping you can look at this picture and imagine all of the sounds that would be accompanying an area like this. This was taken on Trout Creek. Now, first things first, as usual, who I am, what I do, where I work. So I work for St. Johns County. St. Johns County is a great county. We have 42 miles of beach. We run along the intercoastal as well as the St. Johns River. That gives us a wide variety of animals that live here, which means there's lots of different sounds that we might encounter throughout our travels and in our backyard. Now, I specifically work for our Parks and Recreation Department. Our Parks and Rec Department covers everything from ball fields and courts to playgrounds to the pool at the Solomon Calhoun Center. Now, I specifically work with everything outdoor related. So waterway access and going out kayaking and trails. I specifically am one of your Parks Naturalists. So non-pandemic times, we would be together kayaking and going on beach walks, and I'd get to give you this talk in person. Obviously, things are a little different right now, but hopefully they'll start to get back to normal pretty soon here, and we'll get to go explore the outdoors together. Now, we talked in the very first slide that you, looking at that picture, might be able to hear the sounds. Well, these are the sounds. This is a video from Trout Creek, same place that picture was taken, and here are the sounds that accompanied that. So today is going to be super fun. Hopefully as interactive as I can make it, being through screens here, but my goal today is to point out 20 different sounds that you hear in nature. And keep in mind, as we go along, you have to have things that make sound. So there are 20 animals. And we're going to kind of go through, test your ear, see what you know, what you don't know. And I'll give you some tips and tools on what you can do during this time to kind of tune in your ear to the amazing things that are outside. So first things first. I'm going to play a sound. I'm going to give you a second to absorb the sound, and then you're going to take a guess as to which one it is. This is supposed to be really fun, no pressure. This is great if you've got a couple of people you want to do this with, or just even another person, and see who can get the most right, little friendly competition. Otherwise, just test yourself and see if you knew or had any idea what these sounds are. So here is our first sound. All right, did you guys get that? That was our first sound. Take your guess. Is it a fish crow, a boat-tailed grackle, a common grackle, or the American crow? All right, I'm going to play it one more time, and then you're going to make your selection. All right, final answer. You guys ready? Is the American crow. So the American crow is who's making all of that noise. Very common around here. So hopefully we're starting off easy and you knew that one. Probably going to progressively get a little harder. I threw some curveballs in there for you. All right, here's the next one. If you listen to the sounds of the night, this one may be a little easier. All right, this one I hear all of the time. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know what it was the first several times I heard it. I thought it was something different than what it is. So let's see if you guys get this right on the first try. This is our mourning dove. So when I said, do you listen to the sounds of the night? I hope I didn't throw you for a loop. I totally lied to you. This mourning dove calls in the morning. In fact, I used to hear this all the time, not where I live now, but before this, there were doves that hung out, I swear, right outside my window. And every morning, so early, they would call, and it was so annoying. And I can appreciate them now that they're not at my window every morning. Morning doves, if you hear this, it's a morning dove. Ready? I'm going to play it one more time for you before we move to the next slide. All right, you ready for the next one? And that's what our mourning doves look like. Okay, here is your next sound. All right, is that your bluebird, your mockingbird, your painted bunting, or your northern cardinal? Take your guess. Let's see if you got it right. This one is your northern cardinal. Your northern cardinals look like this. They're red. They're called cardinals because they've kind of got that pointy red hat on like a cardinal would in a church. The females, if you didn't know, like this. They're totally brown. They don't really have any red on them. So northern cardinals are what make this sound. I see these all over the place. They're very common around here. They're usually easy to see too when you hear them. All right, ready for the next one? Hopefully you guys are doing pretty good so far. All right, so your options for this one are the gray catbird, the brown thrasher, the Carolina wren, or the tufted titmouse. All of these are fairly small, medium-sized birds that you could find in your yard. Got your guess? One more listen before you make your selection. All right, and the answer to what bird makes this sound is your gray catbird, which looks something like this if you're not much of a birder. Guys, now's a great time to get into birding, even just backyard birding. People are out and about more, they're more observant, and they're great bird resources I'll share with you if you feel like you want to start getting into birding. All right, here's another one for you. so if you have not done well so far, it's okay. I promise there are easier ones ahead. I sprinkled them in there for you. So that sound that you just heard is either a blue jay, a Carolina wren, a mockingbird, or a Carolina chickadee. And the answer to what bird makes this sound is a Carolina wren. Looks something like this. All right, we're going to move away from the smaller birds for a moment. Focus on woodpeckers. Let's see if you know your woodpeckers. So this sound that you're about to hear is either an ivory-billed woodpecker, a red-headed woodpecker, a red-bellied woodpecker, or a pileated woodpecker. Let's see if you can figure this one out. And if you don't know, just guess. You got a 25% shot of getting it right. All right, that one was super distinctive, so take your guess. And let's see, if you guessed pileated woodpecker, you would be correct. Birds look something like this. Now, note that ivory-billed woodpecker was one of your choices. If you watched last week's Florida Endangered Species presentation, you would know that the ivory-billed woodpecker has not been confirmed being seen in the wild since 1944. So we likely won't be hearing ivory-billed woodpeckers outside of our window and our door in our backyard. And if you do, definitely want to report that because it's pretty much presumed to be extinct at this point. All right, we're moving from woodpeckers to owls. Maybe this is your chance. You haven't gotten anything right yet. You might get this one. Now, don't feel bad if you don't get anything correct because I am not a birder. If I was playing this game, probably would have only gotten the crow right so far and the dove because I always heard the dove outside the window. But, you know, no pressure. I'm a naturalist. I still don't know these birds. I'm definitely not a birder, but I'm learning and you can learn too. And this is just for fun, okay? So here's your next sound. All right, you got an idea? Here's the good part. If you guess owl, you're automatically correct. Now let's see if you know what kind of owl it is. And that bird call belongs to the great horned owl, one of our handful of owl species that you can find here in Florida. All right, once again, coming back to the owls because they're really cool. Now here's the thing, if you're paying attention, you know the last one was great horned owl. So this one probably won't be great horned owl again, unless I'm trying to mess with you. But here's the next owl sound. Here's a little clue for you. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. This sound I tend to hear like right before dusk. And sometimes I occasionally hear it during the day as well, which is fairly unusual for an owl. Most owls are out at night and you would really only hear them call at night. But this one particularly about right before dusk, as you know, right before that sun goes down, I start to hear this one a lot. So I'm going to play it for you one more time and then you can take your guess. All right, so your options are the screech owl, the barn owl, the barred owl, or the great horned owl. Let's see if you got it right. The barred owl. These guys are really cool, really cute. They're probably the most common owl that I see and then I encounter. They have that very distinctive call of "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you?" I did a terrible job at that, but you can look it up and it will sound much better than what I just did. Once again, not a birder, just want to bring you these sounds of things you can find in your backyard. All right, here's the next one. All right, so it's a herring gull, or a bald eagle, or a ring-billed gull, or a gull-billed tern. Fun fact, there is no such thing as a seagull. Seagulls pretty much refer to a grouping of gull species of birds. So herring gull and ring-billed gull are types of seagull. There's no specific type of bird that's a seagull. Seagull is kind of an all-encompassing of the gull family, in case you're wondering what those are. So I'll let you hear it one more time. Really think about your selection. Herring gull, bald eagle, ring-billed gull, or gull-billed tern. All right, you got that answer? Let's see if you're correct. Bald eagle. Guys, this huge, majestic raptor sounds like a seagull, in my opinion. Kind of a pathetic, puny sound for this like huge, majestic bird. And that's because most of us don't know that that's the call of the eagle, because in movies and film and in commercials, they almost never actually use the eagle call because it sounds so sad and I don't know, just not that cool and impressive. What they do use and put over top that like eagle soaring over the landscape is the neck sound. And I want you to see if you know what bird that call actually belongs. All right, so one of these birds, their call is utilized as basically a voiceover for the eagles in film. And so I want you to see if you can figure out which one it is. All right, so once again, they take this call for film, and a lot of times there's a slightly different version they use of this bird calling over like a canyon or something, and the acoustics are great and super impressive. This is what it sounds like in real life, especially down here in Florida. So that call belongs to the red-tailed hawk. The fun fact of the day, if you've learned nothing else, you've gotten nothing else right, you now know that eagle calls are fairly wimpy and unimpressive, and that when they utilize eagles in film, they oftentimes will utilize this guy's call over the eagle call, that it sounds more impressive. All right, so this next one is either belonging to a great blue heron, a sandhill crane, a whooping crane, or a turkey. All right. That is a Sandhill Crane. It looks like this if you don't know what a Sandhill Crane is. Very tall bird with this red little cap on their head. When they're around, they sound like this, and you can hear them for quite a ways away. They're kind of funny to listen call. Sometimes you can even hear them calling when they're flying, which is impressive because they're really huge birds. But yeah, the Sandhill Crane. All right, here's another bird for you. I think we only have a couple more birds, and then we'll move on to some other fun things that make noise and some cool sounds you can hear. All right, so that call belongs to either the blue jay, the scrub jay, the mockingbird, or the northern cardinal. Hopefully you know it doesn't belong to the northern cardinal because I already did northern cardinal, but it actually belongs to the blue jay. Pretty common bird in our area, so now you know what that sounds like. Okay. You ready for this next one? I feel like you guys need one that you just totally know right off the bat. And this is going to be that bird. I feel it. Okay, guys, you totally know what this is. You know what this is because all of you guessed. That's our turkey. We have wild turkeys here. I have a really fun video to show you just because it makes me laugh. And in times like these, we could all use a laugh. I know it. So I want to share this next video with you. While it is not a sound of nature, because it's not from the wild, these are turkeys from someone's farm. And I hope you appreciate the sounds of this video because it definitely makes me giggle. So if you all got nothing else out of today's presentation, hopefully you at least got a laugh. Turkeys are hilarious. Okay. Back to Do You Hear What I Hear? Nature sounds from nature. Here's one that is really unique that we hear a lot. Maybe you don't know what it is. So that is either the common yellowthroat, the pine warbler, an oak toad, or a southern toad. I'm going to play it one more time for you. All right, do you have your selection? Have you made your guess? The answer to this one is oak toad. Cute little toad, looks something like this, native to Florida. So we're starting to transition from birds because they're not the only ones who make nature sounds. Frogs and toads especially this time of year with some of this rain we've been getting. There's whole frog symphonies happening in most of our backyards and in our neighborhood. So if you start to listen, you might be able to pick out what types of frogs and toads are in those choruses singing at night. So here's the next one for you. All right, and those really soothing sounds belong to the eastern spadefoot toad. Little toad looks like this. He's out in Florida. All right, here's the next one. All right, at this point, if you're just guessing, not a problem. We'll test your guessing skills. This is either your southern chorus frog, your ornate chorus frog, your barking tree frog, or your southern toad. This belongs to your southern chorus frog. These frog looks a little something like this. Okay, now, just like with the owls, if you guess tree frog on this one, you automatically get it right. The question is, do you know what kind of tree frog this one belongs? All right, you have your selection. Have you eeny, meeny, miny, mowed the options? Ready? The green tree frog. Looks like that. He's green. All right, once again, tree frog. We've got that far. See if we can narrow it down based on the sound. And that belongs to the Cuban tree frog. Now, guys, if you hear or see these, know that they are an invasive, non-native tree frog. So we do not want them here. They are not good for our Florida ecosystems, and they can outcompete some of our native frogs. And they're oftentimes a lot bigger than our native frog species. All right, last one. Now, we've already gone 2 of these, so if you were paying attention, you got a 50-50 shot at this one. All right, you ready? Set? That is a squirrel tree frog. Looks something like this. Okay, last one. Hopefully this is a quintessential sound that summer is here or summer is coming. All right, so if your first inkling was, oh, it's definitely some kind of insect, you're on the right track. Because this sound either belongs to crickets, bees, cicadas, or katydid. And I'm gonna play it one more time for you. Determine what you think. And that sound belongs to the cicada. So the cicada in a hot summer day, in the middle of the day, will be making all of those noises. You won't be able really usually to see them. And then at night when it cools down, that's when we tend to hear the cricket. But cicadas look something like this. They're a winged insect. And usually if I see them, I only ever see their molts. So they leave this exterior skeleton behind that sometimes you can find on like fences and railings and things. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Sound is the vocabulary of nature. So get out there, take this time, learn your bird calls, learn your frog calls. And if you want tools to learn those, there are 2 good resources that I can share with you. The first is the Cornell Labs All About Birds, and you can put in whatever bird you would like to start to identify, and they have this sounds section. You can go into this sounds page, and you can go through and listen to various types of calls of that bird. So, for example, here again are the calls of the bald eagle. And they can help with bird ID and live cams. eBird is also a great resource. And then frog calls, the Florida Museum has a page. If you just Google frog calls Florida, it should come right up with the Florida Museum. And you can scroll down and you can listen to the different kinds of frogs. Fun activity if you have a lot of kids or you have a group of kids that tend to hang out with your kids. Really fun activity is to assign them each a frog, make them listen to a frog call, and then at the same time everyone has to do their frog call, and it sounds like a little frog chorus around a pond. Super fun. Also great game to do with adults if you all got a lot of time. So one of the ones that I really like that I was playing earlier is this one. That was the pig frog, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory why it's called the pig frog, but you can listen to the calls, and they also have pages on the individual birds that'll tell you, or individual frogs that'll tell you a little bit more about them. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you get out and not only use your eyes to see what's around you, but your ears to hear what's around you as well. And enjoy those sounds of nature, because the silence of nature usually isn't so silent. Usually there's things out there trying to grab your attention. So sit back, relax, close your eyes, and take in nature with your ears. Bye guys, till next week.